Oh, you're on the continuity camera.
Mm-hmm. This iPhone just looks better, so.
Absolutely. That's what I use. But I'm using it with Camo Studio.
You know, this can be really hit or miss for me. Let me just duck out and be right back.
Oh, we see you, but it's frozen.
Oh, yeah, that was the FaceTime camera. And when I switched over, it froze. Let me duck out and be right back.
Yeah.
Miss you while you're gone.
We got time.
I'll miss you guys too, but it won't be long, I promise.
Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. He's a good kid.
So I have a weird thing going on in YouTube now. Like when I join a live stream or watch a live stream in YouTube, like I just brought up the live stream for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I can no longer participate in any chats unless I create a channel. What is up with that?
What?
Yeah, here, I'll take a screenshot and send it to you.
Yeah.
Where's my screenshot?
Oh, I need some of your snippets, buddy. This is killing me to do these.
I owe you snippets. And
oh, I know. I'm not expecting anything.
And where it there we go.
With
such a flattering shot of me.
I'm just trying to fill this out. I got it. My watch dinged. Yeah, holding doesn't tell me that's done. Oh, he's probably sitting here waiting for me. I'm not looking. Yep. Sorry, Holden. I wasn't paying attention.
All right, let's try this again.
Maybe.
There we go.
There we go.
Holden, you haven't explored you haven't explored Mastodon yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I actually not even really on any social media right now.
Okay, I'm still.
That's probably healthy.
It's been actually really great. Something about social media being toxic or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's an urban myth.
I got Twitter there. I mean, I'm sorry, X.
It's such a terrible name.
I know.
You know, when the APIs were shut off, so I couldn't use Tweetbot anymore. I mean, that was it. I just never went back on.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I've been on a couple times because their friends sent me links to something where they're like, you need to see this where it is, not just a screenshot. And then of course, everything is now stuck behind logins and all that.
Yeah.
So like the 2 times that I've been back to look at whatever a specific link someone sent me, was back out, and I have not missed being there at all.
Yeah, you wanna.
And I do have friends that are still active there. Like it's still the place for the WordPress community. And so I have friends that relay the WordPress drama to me because they know I'm not going to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, things still happen on X for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, it's still kicking, but I don't know. I think the X move was so bizarre because it just seems so generic now. Like Twitter was iconic, and X, it doesn't make any sense. It's like someone bought Apple and just changed it to phone instead of iPhone. Like, why would you do that?
Not paying attention.
It's the name that he's wanted to use for a company for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like like back when he was with whatever company that was trying to do the same thing as PayPal.
It was like X Corp or something, right?
That's what he wanted to call it. And everyone's like, no, you can't do
It's
that.
like that's like Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, like E Corp, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does want to make the everything app where like you could do banking on it and everything. Like that is E Corp. That's exactly what E Corp
And that's
was.
what he was going for back long ago.
Hello, Kelly. Oh, you're muted.
This is the quietest Kelly's ever been.
Oh, you say that now.
I
don't
say
think
it now.
And I don't think you're on your mic either.
I'm not.
Well, you might be. Did you replace your normal mic with a shitty one?
Yeah. We love you, Kelly.
I clearly, yeah, I can really tell.
There, now it works. Oh,
I
Good
will
news,
not
Kelly.
make
You
Dave
don't
have
sound
to
shitty
edit.
anymore.
I will not make Dave have to edit. I will not make Dave have
well,
to.
this is we're in the pre-show here.
Oh, well, okay. Then I'm glad I'm glad I came correct with the Cosmic Crisp this evening, because I was just gonna get like fizzy water, but no, I decided I needed alcohol because when we're done, I have to go continue mowing the lawn. So
Oh, thank you for being here.
Hey,
You
Kelly,
live
nice
in
to
a
meet you.
place.
I don't think we've met before.
I thought we did. I was going to ask. Have you met Holden before?
I don't think so. Hi, Holden.
Nice to
This
meet
is
you, Kelly.
I hope they're nicer to you than they are to me.
I actually work with his dad.
Oh, okay. Now I know why I'm supposed to be careful about what I say. Got it.
Yeah, Jeff, don't bring that up.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't tell
No,
him. Don't worry. You can say
don't say
anything.
anything.
But oh, Kelly. Oh,
I know you want to, but no.
I want to. Oh, I want to.
I know. I know you do. I can hear it from here. I
Yeah,
know you do.
that rumbling you're feeling through the ground.
I know.
Yeah.
I got you, boo boo.
Well, they give you a hard time. They're crazy because I'm looking at that bookshelf. You got Harry Potter and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so you're good in my book.
Oh, yeah,
Well, Douglas Adams, I'm assuming it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kelly, we have the same Hitchhiker's Guide volume.
Is that the one that goes up till the 5th book?
I think I have an excerpt of the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what ends with "So long and thank you for all the fish."
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was like, and here's a little bit of Salmon of Doubt that we know is coming, was kind of like, I think that's the era of mine. So
Hey, we got people in the chat already too. Hey, Ben.
fine.
I actually
Hey,
haven't
fine.
read the 2nd book. I've only read the 1st one, and I want to go back and read.
yeah, I haven't
The others.
gone back to it either.
Yeah, you should
Okay.
go. Yeah, just like it's like a pilgrimage that you do again and again.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I am with Mr. Robot, to go back to that. That's like my pilgrimage. Every once in a while, I go back and rewatch that.
Yep.
Did you watch did you watch Westworld?
I really didn't like Westworld.
The first season is spectacular. You don't have to go any further than that to get a complete, coherent, enjoyable unit of storytelling.
I stopped in
I
season
agree.
2. When they got to Shogun World, I'm like, if they're already here, they ran out of material. It's
it was-
over.
well, technically they didn't. Okay, full disclosure, I had a podcast about Westworld.
Okay. So you're
we
very
say?
familiar.
We went deep. Shogun World was a real place. Air quote real place that Michael Crichton had in mind. Was one of the places that
Oh,
showed
okay,
up
that's
in
good
the
to
original
know.
film. So
Yeah.
so the fact that there were other worlds that you could go to, that part's all legit. Like that's all stuff that Michael
Okay.
Crichton wrote initially. So that wasn't just them going, oh, we need another season. Well, shit, what do we do? So that all is the right thing. When we left the parks, it got interesting and then it got really boring. And then they gave us a 4th season that doesn't really mean anything without a 5th season, and HBO pulled the plug. So
Yeah, I heard about that.
Structurally, it's not great. Season 2 is very you can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. Like season 2 isn't any fun until you get to season 3 and things start paying off. Like a lot of season 2
Okay,
is just
yeah.
build up to the 3rd season, which is also good. Like if you stop at 3, also rock and roll. Again, a complete unit of storytelling. It's a lovely show to have watched and enjoyed. every time we got to the end of a season, we would go, please just don't make this a documentary. And it kept sort of feeling like a documentary.
Like a lot of exposition and like, this is what the world is kind of stuff.
It just felt a little more like I wanted to watch a show that wasn't taking place where I live, and it kind of started feeling like that. So
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Robo's kind of similar with that. Like season 2 is awesome, but it
Yes.
requires season 3 and 4 to really understand why season 2 is the way it was.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who stopped at season 2, and I'm like, oh, I get it, but like, just finish season 2. It's worth
got
it.
tough. It got tough.
I'm
in
partway
season
into
2.
season 1.
Oh wow, you just
Okay.
haven't, you're new to it. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was a while ago since I watched
Then
it. I gotta
I
go
will
back
be
and watch it
vague.
again.
yeah.
Yeah, I won't say
Spoilers.
anything.
Spoilers.
I will
Yeah.
just say it is a full experience.
I was
It
gonna say I will
is.
be very vague from here on out. But speaking of television that we enjoy watching, I have a full evening because I mowed some of the yard. My yard is very vast, Holden. It's like a whole other character on the podcast because I usually have to mow on Thursday because they come to get yard debris on Fridays.
Oh, okay.
So, and I live in Portland, Oregon, and so today it didn't rain, and so I have to go mow the lawn because it's getting very shaggy.
Basically,
Mhm.
Kelly's yard is a moon of Endor.
Pretty much, yeah. It is. There's
We'll
a
just get the
forest.
Ewoks to do it
There-
for you.
There are
Yeah.
giant trees, no Ewoks.
Oh,
But when
damn
I have
Empire.
to, I know when I have to mow on a day like today where it's pretty thick and I can't go like a full lawnmower width around,
Mhm.
I end up walking about a mile between the front and the backyard. It's a little over a mile. And
Holy
then
crap. Okay.
yeah, so I have to jam out, finish mowing the yard before 6:45 when the sun goes down. Then I can come inside and I get to watch the first episode of season 2 of Loki. And I cannot tell you how excited I am because that's now.
Yeah, I will be watching that episode after we are done here.
Okay.
So basically, she won't listen to anything you guys say the entire time. She'll be thinking
I'm
about Loki.
just gonna be over here thinking about Loki.
Like this
well-
is different from any other show.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
recording. I mean,
I mean, I do. I try to present as though I am listening and attentive. No, I'm kidding.
that's all we can ask.
No.
I'm working on that too.
I mean, you saw how they treated me when I got here.
We're all
but-
people. We're all ADHD in the 21st century. It's all good.
Did you guess? But also I have a Marvel podcast. The Westworld one is
Gotcha.
out there, but I do the Marvel podcast called I Want My MCU TV, and we talk about the Marvel shows, and so I'm very excited to kick off the next season of that too. So like when we were enduring What If, the best part of it was, well, at least I get to get together with everybody else and we get to complain about how much that episode sucked. So because there were a lot of them I really didn't like. I do not care about zombie Marvel. I
really enjoyed the whole
not-
what if thing. Now,
I like the
I
idea
also-
of the whole thing, but the individual pieces, like the one that was entirely zombies, was very tedious to me. I just because I don't care.
I can also imagine it doesn't contribute to anything. It's kind of the fun of the Marvel stuff is it all kind of contributes to this
That's-
greater like momentum
Yeah.
moving forward. And what if I don't think it could possibly do that unless it's part of the multiverse stuff somehow.
Well, the original
well, some of it is. but-
print, like, oh, here we go, guys. I'm getting up on my Marvel hobby horse. Hang on.
So,
So-
hold on, I'm hopping up on my horse with
Okay.
you.
So
Giddy up.
the what if print concept was that they were one shots, and it was what if, and it was one sentence, one question.
Mhm.
What if Kal-El's little pod had crashed in Russia and not in Kansas?
See, the awesome
that's
thing
cool.
about that
Whatever,
is I
like-
totally see what you just did there, which could never happen. Because what if is Marvel, Kal-El is DC. Oh wait,
yeah.
that was intentional, right?
100%.
Okay, just double checking.
What if but all of the what if of it, what if the super
Yeah.
soldier serum hadn't worked on Steve Rogers?
Isn't there where Penny Carter ended up getting it or something like that? Like that's one of the
Yeah.
what ifs.
Yeah, Agent Carter, who and Captain Carter is now one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I'm sad that she's still only animated because she will be amazing, and that's like the only reason I'm happy about season 2. But that was the whole thing about what if, and they've taken that concept in the animated series, and as much as I loved seeing it animated, they took the animated series and like morphed it into a thing that has to contribute to a larger overall story, and that's not ever been the point of What If. And I think those two things being at odds with each other is part of why I have a hard time with it. And then like you needed the zombie episode for how the series ended, because like all of the pieces, every single episode contributed to what we got at the end of the season in the finale of What If, but I didn't care about those individual pieces, and it kind of was frustrating to have to sit through because I knew it was all building to something, and then I had to wait to see how it was going to turn out. And that made me kind of grumpy because the whole point of What If is a one shot. Like, and if you liked it, maybe you want to go read more X-Men comics, maybe you want to read more Captain America, whatever it is, that was the subject of that particular series. So hello,
okay,
and welcome to
I'm-
In Touch with Kelly's podcast.
I'm with
I'm
you
your
on the
host.
whole build up
we're ready
thing.
to record.
They shouldn't have done it as a build up because What Ifs are one-offs. And I liked that each one could be a one-off, except that then they were tying it together. And
How
so
long are they?
they're like
Half
20
hour.
minutes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if they were 10 minutes, would be really cool. Is if they did the Pixar thing and have like a little short before every Marvel movie, and it's like a what if.
Yes,
Now, see, that would be a really
amazing.
cool thing.
That is the perfect use of What If.
Because you
You're-
won't know what it is ahead of time. It's a total mystery, and then it's like,
Right.
oh, what's it going to be this time? It's kind of like
Right.
the opposite of the after credits.
Exactly.
And then have several. So
Yeah.
you don't know which one you're going to see before a movie.
Oh,
They released
that's a
2 or
really
3
good idea.
They released 2 or 3. Are you listening, Kevin? Because we're mining gold over here. I just need you to know that. That would be amazing. I mean, there's a couple of different versions of Into the Spider-Verse, like where people saw different things depending on what theater they were in. So same
Which
idea.
is cool.
Yeah.
But somewhere right now, Kevin Feige is sitting probably at a bar and he just went, God damn it, Kelly and Jeff are talking again, aren't they?
What if? Let's get started.
Oh, we're live streaming, aren't we? And I'm
Yeah, very
I'm
good
dropping
segue.
that's
it.
That was a
right.
really good segue.
I thought
Okay.
I got that one. I was waiting. I was holding it. All right, let's go ahead and get started, guys.
Oh,
Start all
we've
your-
started, David. We just started without you on a totally different show.
This is actually a different podcast now.
yeah. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 274 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I've got 2 great guests this week. Kelly Gugamon is back on the show. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing well, David. How are you?
Doing well. Glad you're back. We had a lot to talk about, and we got another returning guest. It's been a while, so glad you made it back. Holden DePardo. How you doing, Holden?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. It's been a little while, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's been a
back.
while. Yeah, we're so
Yeah.
glad to have you. And last, but certainly not least, Jeff Gammett's back on the show. How you doing, Jeff?
I see how it is. We have 2 great guests. Oh, and Jeff's here. No, I'm fine.
Jeff's-
were I gotta
Jeff's
go. My
the
mom's
heart of the
I
show.
mean-
Come on.
I really
Yeah.
thought it was, 2 great guests and also Kelly. So,
Well,
I get it, Jeff.
I didn't.
know-
I didn't lead that way, but
It depends on which theater you're watching this in.
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a fun show tonight. So we got lots of news to talk about, all kinds of things that have happened this week, including this is the anniversary of the unfortunate passing of Steve Jobs. We'll talk about that a little bit. And topics include beta and new releases and updates, and Apple Watch discussion will happen. I know Holden just got the iPhone 15 Pro Max. He's going to get his insights since we've been talking about it the last few weeks, and there's all kinds of other stuff. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, yes, it is 12 years ago today that Steve Jobs has passed away. It was the 12th anniversary, and it was always a very tough time during those times at Apple, and Steve and Apple did share a new message this week, and it says Apple has lost a visionary, creative genius, and the world has lost an amazing human being. And those of us who were fortunate enough to know and work with Steve have lost a dear friend, an inspiring mentor, and Steve did leave behind a legacy that he built with Apple, and it can never be any different as far as the foundation of Apple. So it's just great memories. And Steve was got this where Apple is today, really. I mean, and I think it's just an inspiring time, and it's just a sad time. But look where Apple is now. Apple's doing really well. Thoughts on Steve? What do you think, Kelly?
It's really weird because when he passed away, I was consulting. I was doing a freelance thing for Mike Rose of the Unofficial Apple Weblog. We were all at the Unofficial Apple Weblog back then.
You know, Mike, friend of the show.
Yes. Hi, Mike. It's fun to get to be on a different podcast and say hi to him from here.
Yeah.
So hi, Mike. Mike had Dave Kalo and myself come work with him at a thing that he was doing for his day job. And we were sort of the genius bar for the iPad rollout for this company that was doing iPads for many, 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 many people. And so we were all at the Disney World Resort. We were at one of the hotels there where they have like massive conference rooms and things. And that on October 5th, they had a corporate event for everyone who was there for the giant conference that was also getting all the iPads and everything. And they rented out the Harry Potter park and for just this event. And so they were wrapping up the event. Everything was like, everyone was all in this giant ballroom, sitting around a bunch of tables, just finished eating dinner. Everyone's really excited. They had a presentation. The music comes up and my iPhone 3G phone rang and Dave Kalo's phone rang. And we both walked outside to see what had happened. And mine was Mr. Kelly. And I can't remember who called Dave. I know he will never forget, but I can't remember who he was talking to. So we each got a call, said hello. And the person on the other end said that Steve Jobs had died. And we looked at each other and our faces both just had like the exact same expression on them.
Yeah.
And we just sort of stood there like, and then, and we both said, I have to go, and hung up. And Dave looked at me and said, because he was the editor, the news editor of TUI at that time. And so I said, and he said, I don't have IRC on my phone. And I said, I do. And I opened it up and I handed it to him. And then I walked back inside and I like didn't know what to do, basically.
Yeah.
And walked in and Mike looked at me and went and like alarmed because, you know, of course I look like $1 million at this point. He, are you okay? And I said, Steve died. And he was just floored. And like, so now the two of us are both standing there with the same expression on our faces. And I remember because we'd just gotten the iPhone 4S the day before. And we were both like covering our event. We were covering that event from the event we were at and talking about how amazing it was and how, because there was an empty seat for Steve at the event, right in the front row. It had like a tag on it, like reserved for Steve Jobs or something. I can't remember. But it was saved for him. And you could tell that was supposed to be his seat. And that's the thing that I remember is all of us having that moment of like, we are all here deploying iPads because of Apple. We all know each other because we all write for the Unofficial Apple Weblog. And we're all here like marveling at what the new phone is going to look like and what this voice assistant thing is going to do for people and how that's going to fundamentally change what people can do with their device. And like just sort of marveling at the technology and the power of Apple as a company, because that's why we were friends. That's why we knew each other at all. That's why any of us were competent to be doing the thing that we were standing in Florida doing in that moment, all of those things. And then to be able to, and then to sort of sit there and like, and then go get on a bus with a whole bunch of other people who are super duper excited. It was surreal because everyone on the bus was like super pumped, has no idea what's happened. It doesn't affect any of them the way it's affecting us. And, you know, how all of that went. So like what I remember about it is that it was very, very surreal, but that I was absolutely with the exact right people to understand the magnitude of what just happened.
Yeah.
So,
how about you, Jeff? You probably got some good memories.
Yeah.
That's back when I was managing editor for Mac Observer.
Yeah.
And so the news hits and I immediately was like, this is what I have to do now. And so I wrote, I typically don't brag, but I think I'm for this, I will. I think my obituary for Steve Jobs was fantastic. And what made it work was that instead of writing it ahead of time, which I had been planning on doing, because I knew that his time was short, but I just didn't. And then the news drops and I start writing. And then I realized not writing it till then was the right choice, because I was able to write something that just came from my heart. And then I got that out, and then it was like phone calls and other news organizations interviewing me, and just, doing all this stuff. And I remember the common thread through all of this, as I was talking with all these other people in news organizations, was what happens to Apple now? And me saying, it's okay. And we can be sad about losing Steve, but it's okay, because Steve and the rest of the leadership team had the foresight to plan well in advance for this transition that they knew had to happen. And so when we lost Steve, we didn't lose Apple's leadership, because he was not doing that anymore. Everything was already in place. Tim Cook was already running the company, and everything was going to be okay. And it was interesting being on, I can't even, it might have been CNN or something. I can't remember which one, but one of the shows where they had some guy on who was talking about this is the death of Apple, everything is doomed, the company is screwed. And then they turned to me for a counterpoint, and I just very calmly laid out, here's how this is going to play out. It's already played out. It's done. Everything is moving forward. Right. And got through my whole thing, and they were supposed to go back to the other person for a counterpoint to that, and they didn't. But
Holden, do you have any thoughts about Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was just out of high school. I was still pretty young, but I've been being my dad's son. I've been an Apple. I've bled in 6 colors all my life. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I worked at the Apple store at that time, and I was actually working in the store, talking to a customer about iPads, and the notification popped up on the iPad saying Steve Jobs has died. And it was just like, we literally took a moment of silence. It was a really it's a crazy moment that a customer even recognized, like, oh, this is a really big deal. That's, I don't know, that I think says a lot to what he meant. And then kind of getting to be there with other Apple employees who, kind of Kelly was saying, understood what that meant. Getting to see people coming to the Apple stores and putting the Post-it notes on the window to say how much they love Steve, shutting the Apple light off as kind of a way of putting the flag at half-mast. There's just all these great things that I'm glad that I was there for that, because it was a really important time.
It was.
And to kind of Jeff's point too, don't worry about Apple. I was worried about Apple. I was very worried about Apple. And for years after, I was like, Apple's, it's not that they're doomed or ruined, but it's they'll never be the same. And
everybody said
props to Tim Cook. He's done a really good job. He's really maintained.
And they're not the same. That's the thing. And that was never his intention. And I think he's on record as saying, I presume it's going to go on after I am gone, but I do not presume it will be the same company that it was.
Well, he
really isn't. And it's a testament to Steve that he left for a while and came back. Mike Rose did some interviews, Jeff, like you did. I think he was on Fox Business with somebody. But it was the same kind of thing. He was doing a lot of talking news anchors off a ledge after people thought well, that's the end of that. They just came out with a new phone and they're never doing anything again, and we were no, because the thing, it's one of those things that he, I think, didn't get enough credit for and still may not. And that is hiring the right people so that so that the kernel of what makes Apple computer, even though they're not that anymore. I know, don't at me. The kernel of what makes that company is still there. Absolutely everything that that made Apple the consumer electronics powerhouse it is still there. It's just, it's taken a slightly different shape. It's evolved to keep up with what things are, and in some cases dictated what those times look like. And there's nothing wrong with that. And one thing I will say about getting to mark this every year is that it's it makes it slightly more ridiculous every time someone says, well, if Steve were here,
They're starting to stop doing
it
that
sounds
now.
dumber and dumber every time someone says it, and fewer people say it the further away we get from the event horizon.
Yeah.
So it was it was a close thing the last time Steve did a stretch where he was not at Apple, and then he came back, and that was a different company. The company he came back to was not the company he left. He turned it into something else, hired a number of people. I remember, like, Jeff, I think you and I think I had you on the 2 Talkcast, to just throw back Thursday all over this podcast. I think you came on the Talkcast and we talked about like production for iPads, and we were like, well, yeah, Tim Cook is the reason, because he is the master of the supply chain. And, he is why they own, I think at that point it was like 25 or 30% of all the flash memory in production right now is going into an Apple device.
Yeah.
It is of all of it, period. Not in a particular company, not today, like, period, of what's in the world. This ridiculously high percentage is going into an Apple device. And it took Tim Cook to make that a reality. That was not Steve, wasn't Eddie, wasn't Air Force One. They are all very good at different things. This is a nuts and bolts operation guy. And he'd been there forever. That was the other thing was, for us that were old school, a lot of eye rolling from people go, well, who's this upstart, showing up to sit in the big boy seat? Is like, come on. Like, if you had paid more attention, like, he's not new. He'd been there.
He's also been on the stage at events before, like sitting down with Q&As with Steve before. Like, he's been there.
Yeah, it was not secret. And they had announced he was going to be, he'd been next in line for a long time. So, there was a whole lot of, FUD around it, when he showed up. And so, I remember seeing a lot of people I knew, who all did the same job that I did, that were all kind of in that same, like, that moment in The Big Lebowski when he's like, nothing is effed here, dude. Like, there was a whole lot of that going on. Like, we were doing everything we could to counteract all of that. Well, I guess they're done. They've put out this new phone, and it's gonna have some robot voice in it that's gonna help you do stuff, and they will never do another thing ever. And they're done. They've just, that's it. You last one out, turn off the lights. And, like, think about the world and think about your personal technology stack when the 4S came out, and think about it now, because we're going to talk about what it looks like now in a little bit. I know, specifically with Holden. And that's, like, the amount of evolution in those 12 years, I think, is also really impressive. And a lot of that, again, driven by Apple.
And I think too that, go ahead, Dave.
Last thought, and then we're going to move on. Okay.
It's not an important thought. We can move on. It's totally good.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I also think that the important thing with Apple is more consistency than it is like these big disruptions. And I think people forget that. They kind of view Apple as the big disruptor. And they obviously have done that. But what makes the iPhone great isn't that it disrupted the industry in 2007. It's the kind of Kelly's point. They've consistently worked on it. And the same people are doing that. Steve Jobs didn't single-handedly make the iPhone. Like, it's always been there.
Yeah. The iPod wasn't the first MP3 player. The iPhone wasn't the first phone that had internet access. The Mac was not the first computer, the first portable computer, all of that. Like, they were never first. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Steve will always be in our thoughts. I appreciate
absolutely
all your insights here. Next story, the original Apple Watch is now obsolete including the $17,000 gold model. At first, all first generation Apple Watch models that were released in 2015 were now added to Apple's obsolete products list as of September 30th, as we record this. And according to an internal memo, as a result, these outdated Series 0, quote unquote, are no longer eligible for repairs or other services in any Apple stores or authorized service providers location. The list of obsolete models includes the first generation of the Watch Edition, the 18-karat gold casing, which costs up to $17,000 when it was available. But this is pretty typical. Apple does to get the obsolete most of these products after time. It's 2015. It's about 8, 9 years. That's a good run. So, Holden, what do you think? I hate to be one that has that $17,000 watch and probably never use anymore anyway. Because
I hope that anyone who bought that watch knew that this would happen one day. I hope that they knew.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that they did. I am kind of dying to know how many of those they sold though, because I think they stopped the next year with Series 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very curious how many of those they sold. I would not be surprised if it was literally like 3 digits. Like it's not a very big number at all.
I think most were given away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Drake, I remember, had a gold Apple Watch with the gold link bracelet, and everyone's like, "When are they going to do the gold link bracelet?" And it never happened.
I can't imagine that you can melt it down to whatever gold's worth these days. I would guess.
Yeah,
not $17,000, but.
No, one thing. I'd also argue the Apple Watch was already obsolete when it came out because that thing was so slow. It was almost unusable when it first came out.
I had it. I sold it right away too.
Yeah. I had one. I kept it for a while, but yeah, it was slow.
Any other thoughts, Jeff?
To me, this one actually isn't news because we all covered it when the original Apple Watch came out, and we talked about how here's a $17,000 watch that is a little computer on your wrist. Therefore, it has a very short lifespan. It will be measured in years, and probably years that you can count on 2 hands or less. And sure enough, that's what we got. And we all knew this was a thing that was that was being done to try and position the Apple Watch, and it became what it became, and that's fine.
Yep.
And yeah, so the fact that it's now that it's officially not supported, okay, that's actually pretty good for this type of product. And I think the big thing is that right now there's a lot of news outlets that are really looking for new stuff to cover.
Mm-hmm.
And a $17,000 watch that's obsolete is all they've got.
Yeah. Like I remember we talked about it at TMO, like who's going to buy that $17,000 watch? Because the clock is ticking on how long that's going to be a usable device. Like literally, you can watch the time of its usable window like continue to pass right there on device. So yeah.
Yep.
I actually got a chance to wear one too, one of the gold ones.
Well,
really?
Oh, nice.
It was really heavy. It was very, very, very heavy.
Nice. All right, let's go ahead and move on. If anybody didn't notice, this happened this week. It was on October 4th, which was the day before we recorded this, and your iPhone made a really special sound around 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. And what it was FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, tested the wireless emergency alerts system. It was around that time at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time, but actually it was 2 minutes early because all of a sudden it went on. And at first I was like, I'm sure most people looked it over. I remembered it because it was all over the news and it was going to be done. So the test was run in a 30-minute window. So if you had your phone off during the start of the test and then turned it on during the window, you would get the message. And the message was only sent once.
No, it wasn't.
It sent it twice. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this is good that we've got this alert system. They're good to test it. But I thought for sure you could, because you have the option of being able to turn off all the government alerts. in the settings, which I did, but no, they can bypass that. So
As someone who lives in an area that routinely gets flash flood, wildfire, and other potential natural disaster alerts, I could have told you, you cannot make this a silent thing or make it not happen at
Yeah.
all. It is
Yeah.
going to bypass everything, and it is going to be loud. And if it's in the middle of the night,
Immaterial.
trust me,
yeah. Oh, trust me, it's happening.
your
to me.
your
going
life
off.
will be shortened by at least 2 years when that thing goes off.
Yeah.
Scare you out of your skin.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
assume everybody here experienced it, and it was done in
Twice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because-
I experienced it.
Yeah. Well, because I have a work
did too.
phone. So I have
Oh, that's
my
right.
phone and my work phone. So I was sitting here and I looked and I was like, oh, okay, right. That thing's going to happen in like 10 minutes. Cool. Like, I'll be ready. So I was like kind of paying attention and I'm working and I look over and then, like 10 minutes is a long time to be like, hyper alert. So I'm like, and it kind of, so then like it went off and I'm like, oh, wait, oh, right. Okay. Emergency test.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. I got it.
It's all
My
good.
phone is working. Everything's fine. Went back to work. And then like 10 seconds later, the other phone went off. I'm like,
Yep.
not
Good.
helping.
Enjoy that tone. So
Yeah.
good. Interesting this week. I thought that was a good, interesting story. So
I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it was, and I'm glad it's reliable and it seems like it's working for everybody because it didn't matter what phone you had. It went
Nope.
off. So yeah.
absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move on to the topics this week. Apple had been talking about. We talked about this last week that they were going to release a fix for the iPhone 15 Pro overheating. Not that I had noticed that at all. And I'll ask you in a minute, Holden. But Apple did release iOS 17.0.3, which is the fixing of this overheating. The software was a week after the launch of 17.02. And they also released the version for iPad OS as well for iPad users. You can go in and update it right away. It does have some bug fixes too, so just go ahead and update it. It's important to do. They ran a lot of these bug fixes, and there was a kernel vulnerability. So just go ahead, do it, update it. It's important to have that latest OS.
There's security in it as well. It's not just for the overheating.
Yeah, lots.
but
Bug fixes,
yeah.
security. Yep. So
Yeah.
it's always important to make sure that you're doing that. It also had some enterprise fixes that Kelly and I have a bit of interest in,
Yes.
working in the industry. There was a fix for an issue that may cause the iPhone 15 Pro models to actually, of course, I'm sorry, I'm reading the same thing here. In the support document, Apple revealed that several enterprise-related bugs or fixes, which included the way devices managed in Apple Business Essentials, as well as
Yeah.
unable to complete setups after updating to iOS 17. So there was some enterprise level stuff, and that's great to see that Apple is reacting to this stuff, because a lot of times you don't hear too much about this, right, Kelly?
Well, yeah, it's not always publicized. So even if you dig into the release notes, which are never very exciting,
No,
even if you dig in, you don't always get, oh, there's this thing where, where enrollment choked at this point for whatever, and we fixed that now. And the reason I'm glad that they're documenting it is because it's really hard to find information about it if it's something that you're working with. So if you're deploying iPhones at scale and now you've got, 15, 20 more of these brand new devices that everybody's super slobbering for, and you're like, I can't, they're all bricks right now, I can't do anything about it. That's really frustrating. So I also like it because it's more of Apple sort of being more public about admitting that these are also enterprise devices, which makes me happy.
Right.
I have a 15 Pro and I can't tell you for sure yet if it's not quite as hot, running quite as hot as it used to. I am that guy. I have a magnetic little fan that sits on the back of mine in case I need it.
We talked about that on Mac Voices Live, didn't we?
I did, because I play Pokemon Go, and when you play
Yes.
Pokemon Go, it doesn't matter what phone you have, it will get warm. So I bought a little MagSafe fan, and my phone gets less warm, and that's awesome. But the other thing I just want to reiterate is when you get the little notice on your phone and it says like there's an update available, the less information there is in that update, the more important it is that you run it immediately. Because
Yeah.
Apple doesn't want to tell people this thing is really, it's really bad if you send a message with 3 asterisks in a row to somebody. Now you can do whatever you want on their device. Apple's not going to put that in release notes that show up on everybody's screen. So if they tell you what it is and it's a boring security fix, sigh deeply and roll your eyes, but make sure you run it, like in the next day or two. When they're like, this contains bug fixes and you need to install it, then you need to drop what you're doing and quit crushing the candy and go run the update. Because if they're not telling you about it, it's bad.
Yep.
It's serious. And usually the reason they're not saying anything about it is because there is documented evidence of it happening in the wild. It has been exploited. It is really not good. Please go run the update.
Run your
it's
updates.
a general good idea to do it, but if you get one that's like, Obi-Wan Kenobi going, this is the update you're looking for, you need to just do the thing. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. There's a reason to do the security updates for iOS 16 as well. Like there's a reason for that.
Yes.
Speaking of iOS 16, if you've already upgraded iOS 17, you can no longer go backwards anymore. They've blocked all those ways of reverting back. That's pretty typical when they get to the first few
we
versions
can't go
of
home
17.
again.
Can't go home again. Yeah. So then beta this week. I'm starting off with Apple with WatchOS because it's 10.1 beta 2, and I mentioned it last week. I braved it. I put beta on my Apple Watch. I never have done that, and during all the times that
Rushing in where
because
angels fear
I
to
had
tread.
to. If you can see it, I can double tap and it works. See, there's the widgets. And you
Oh,
can
yeah,
double
okay.
tapping
That's
Okay.
and
if-
they
that
keep
seems
flipping.
reliable. That seems very.
Yeah.
It
So
seems
I've
very
done that on
smooth.
camera. So you can do the double tap by setting widgets, the specific widgets to come up on the Apple Watch, as well as when a phone call comes in, you can double tap to answer it, as well as double tap it to hang up. So it does work. I thought the first beta that came out would have had it. They didn't have it, but beta 2 just came out this week. It was this week as we record. So it does have that support, and so far I'm liking this.
It's in the beta this week.
Yes, it is in the beta this week.
Okay. Because
Well, of course, you have to have WatchOS the Series 9 for it to work.
well, Mr. Kelly caught a case of ultra fever. It was terminal.
Oh, and the Ultra. Yes.
And
We got the Ultra.
so-
Wow.
So yeah, he now rocks the chunky boy. And
Me
he
too.
said, oh, and like late last week, he said, how do I put the beta on my watch? And I said, you don't. And he said, but I want to. And I said, but you don't. And he said, but I do. We went back and forth. And then he finally said, because I want to do this, and was doing the double tap. And I said, okay, well, not yet.
Just wait till it comes out.
Yeah. I was like, you need to wait. And then he said, oh, I figured it out because it's the public beta. And I'm like, it might be in the developer beta. So you still don't have it now anyway. So now I can tell him he can have it, and I don't have to help him with his watch anymore because it's on beta software and I can't do much for him.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
I'll just say I have been doing the beta for WatchOS 10 all summer. Surprisingly smooth. I think
Really?
I'll do it next year. But I also have an
Okay.
Ultra, so that means the battery life woes aren't as
They're
problematic.
less.
Actually, they're not
True.
problematic at all.
Yeah.
So
So does the watch warm your arm the way the phone warms your hand?
Huh?
Because
Did your
it's
watch
always
get
hot.
hot?
Yeah. Does your watch
Oh,
get
no.
hot?
Nope.
Okay. Because it's always.
oh, I see. In
hot.
beta, yeah, your phone can get
Yeah.
hotter. Yeah.
Yeah. Because friend of the show, Brittany. Hi, Brittany.
Everybody.
Really wishes that they would change beta season to be like January to March and then put the new one out in March, because if you're going to carry around a hand warmer for 3 months, having them be the 3
Mhm.
warmest months in the northern hemisphere is a bad
Yep.
thing.
Yep. So 17.1 beta 2, as well as iPad OS 17.1 was released. The biggest thing that they add that they had been waiting for is the AirDrop transfers can now be finished over the internet. So close proximity doesn't need to be maintained anymore with AirDrop, which is awesome. I can't wait to try that. That I will not put on an iPhone because I don't want to risk that. That's more important. So I did not do that. There is a feature that they did add, which is the flashlight indicator in Dynamic Island. I really am liking this, and actually, it already is coming. It already works now. I don't know why they say it's in beta, because I've turned the flashlight on, and it shows up in Dynamic Island, and you actually can turn it
Do you have
off.
a 15 or a 14?
15.
Okay. Well,
program.
15, I think
Yeah.
already had it to begin with. It's only
Yeah.
in beta for the 14, I think.
Yes. So anything below the 15 is the beta. Will
Yeah.
What is this witchcraft?
So if you
So
you turn on the flashlight, and then it will in dynamic island, the flashlight will be there, so you can tap dynamic island and it brings it up, and then you can turn it on and off.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. I usually can tell when my flashlight is on when my pants have a white hole coming out of the pocket. That's when I usually
That's the indicator
see it.
that I've
Yeah.
always used.
Yeah,
and it's
that is a
pretty
good indicator. I
reliable.
like that old.
Okay.
It's very reliable. Yeah.
But do y'all tell other people
Oh,
your
yeah.
flashlight is on? Okay.
No.
Oh yeah, of course.
No.
It's like it's like XYZ, you know.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
yes,
had this
yes.
conversation with someone recently, like, because I told somebody your flashlight's on, and they were like, "Why would you tell them?" I'm like, "Why would you not?"
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are friends for? That, you know,
Exactly.
XYZ.
Yes.
If I walk away and my zipper's down and I realize a friend didn't tell me, that's not my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just a user.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a number of things that have been added as far as the beta there. So you'll hear more and more stuff we'll talk about here. The other thing, there was some claims that I think Apple's still investigating this, is the fact that iOS 17 reset the privacy settings. A user claimed this. I don't know. I haven't seen anything other stories on this beyond. This was back a couple weeks ago. But be aware of that if some of the privacy settings got turned off. We have a link in the show notes here about it. That you may need to go back and turn it back on again. So
It's good
I
to
haven't-
review that occasionally anyway, just as a
It is.
general rule to kind of check those out. My question was, because I don't remember in the story if the person had migrated to a new device or if it was just the device they had and they upgraded and then all of a sudden the settings were magically changed.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while there's rough edges with migration, which I have a story to tell you about later.
Okay. And one thing I want to mention too on Apple TV, TVOS 17.1, usually is not very exciting update, but this is kind of exciting, that the fact that the new enhanced dialogue feature that was just talked about in 17.1 is now going to be available for the original HomePod and the HomePod Mini. So it was released last month, of course, with iOS 17. But this enhanced dialogue makes it easier for you to hear the dialogue in TV shows and movies by separating the dialogue from the background noise, bringing it forward and center to the channel here. So the fact that they actually did it for the original HomePod, I'm kind of pleased. I haven't updated this on my Apple TV yet to 17.1. I want to try that out now because I got the pair. Of course, I'm sporting the pair original HomePods up there. So
yeah,
this is a good thing here, yeah, so that's a lot of the things that we see here as far as the updates here. So I wanted to move on here and actually talk about Apple Watch. We've talked about iPhone. We've talked about the iOS 17 and some of those updates. Well, the Apple Watch, I did decide to sport the, as I showed it a few minutes ago, the Apple Watch Series 9. How does it really stack up when it comes to the updates? You know, the big thing obviously with the Apple Watch Series 9 is it does have the S9 chip, which does bring some performance, and I am noticing some performance improvements. I'm also noticing that the screen is much brighter, because even text I would always have trouble seeing the text because they were so small, but now they're larger and they're much more crisp and easier to see. It does have a lot of cool things that they've added, and that's what. Then I'll say about the display. It's 2,000 nits of brightness, and I do see it. It is really bright. And we just talked about the double tap gesture, which is definitely a cool thing. So it does have a 4-core neural engine, which is about 2 times faster than the Series 8, and the S Lady does process on device requests that don't really need any information from the internet. They've added that as an improvement. The dictation I'm noticing is a little more improved. They say about 25% more. But you look comparison from the 8 to the 9. Is there really a subtle difference? That's why I didn't have the 8. I had the 7. And we have our article in the show notes here actually showing some of the comparisons of all the Apple Watch series, and you can kind of look to see what really stands out. But I think as I've had this watch for almost close to 2 weeks now, that I do. I mean, I'm liking the fact that I did do the upgrade. But not necessarily because of the double tap and the S9 chip, but the display makes a big difference. I see some big improvements when it comes to that. So most people, I say, if you have the 7 or the 8, I don't see any real reason to upgrade at this point, unless you really.
What did
think
you have
to.
before, David?
I had the 7 series.
You
7.
have 7. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I held back from the 8. So
Yeah.
no, I didn't upgrade. I like I upgrade the iPhone every year. I'm think I'm kind of holding back on the Apple Watch. Yeah, the Ultra is a nice watch, but again, it's a heck of a lot more expensive. And for me, and I'm being a big guy, that it is. I tried it on. I tried the original Ultra on. It's a nice watch. It's just the price tag on it. I just, for what I would need the watch for, is just a little high. Holden, you have one, so I'm sure you're loving it. It is a nice watch. I didn't feel the justification of actually purchasing it. So, but the bands all work, which is great. They still have not changed the bands after all these years. We're getting close to almost 9 years since we'll see how the next model goes, but
yeah,
over almost 9 years of bands that all will still fit this watch as well.
As long as you were on the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, even those bands work too. So, and I've
well, I have
the
small watch. So
yeah, that's right.
Like as long as I still it comes in 2 sizes. As long as you but like original Apple Watch bands will work on the whatever, if you had the little one or the big one, if you try that on the little one or the big one now, they all still fit, which is nice. So I think right now, because I think one thing a lot of people are waiting for is Apple to crack glucose monitoring on your arm. Until there's some other sort of huge thing like that, or the watch gets even more independent, the watch is kind of in the same category as the phone. Like if you already have one that they are still selling, then it's not going to be a dramatic upgrade to get a new one. But if you have one that they don't sell anymore, so they still sell the 13. So if you have an 11 or a 12 and you go get an iPhone 15, it's going to be a huge difference. If you have a Series 4 watch or a Series 5 watch and you go get a 9, it's going to be massive. And people, and I think people sometimes take away the message of like, it's not a big upgrade this year. It's not a big upgrade this year. Well, not this year, but like we talked about over on Mac Voices Live, like if you have an iPhone 12 right now, you're getting everything from the 13 and everything from the 14 and everything from the 15. And when you stack all that stuff up, that's a whole lot of stuff that you were getting that you didn't, that, when you make that upgrade. So if you had a 14, maybe this year is not the year for you. But if you had something older, then you should absolutely look, because it's a cumulative effect for people who are moving from a 4 or a 5 or even a 6 up to a 9 or an Ultra. There's so much there, because there's the pulse ox that you get, there's the ECG that you get. I think that came in Series 4 or 5, but if you
4, right?
In the 4. So and and it's only improved. The fall detection, the gait stuff, all of the health other stuff that has gotten smarter, that has gotten better, more things are happening on device. And the device can handle more, just the raw horsepower. Even if you only do these 3 things with it, doing those 3 things with it on a watch, a current model watch, as opposed to a 3 or a 4 or a 5-year-old watch, is going to be a dramatic change.
Yep. So
I'll say I got an Ultra last year, and I actually do have a little bit of FOMO though over this year's updates. Like the double tap, I totally agree. Like it's a marginal upgrade for most people. Like don't do it. The double tap does change how you use an Apple Watch. I think it's kind of important. And the other thing, although it's not important right now, is that the Series 9 and Ultra 2 have a faster processor. And I don't need that right now, but for watchOS 11 or 12 or 13, like that might be useful, considering the Ultra didn't see or the Apple Watch hasn't seen a performance update since the 6, I think. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Like 12 or 13, it will start creaking a little bit for you, but I think you're okay until then.
Oh, I'm totally fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ultra.
I'll live.
Buy it a new band, and it will be happy, and you will be happy, and it will be like you got a new watch. I mean,
like all of us have mounds of bands here, like I do.
I mean, that's what. I regularly buy my technology treats. I'm convinced that's why it behaves better, is because I buy my stuff presents. I got you a new
Oh,
case. I
Kelly.
got you a new keyboard cover,
You're
whatever.
funny.
There's like a little dog bone jar, but it's just filled with Apple Watch
Yeah.
bands, and you just like give yourself one every time you come back
Yep.
from a walk.
You're still pretty. I
So
still love you.
let's talk a little bit about WatchOS 10. A couple things kind of stand out that I think that they made some changes, some really good changes. The checking of the control center status, it actually has the small icons at the top of the control center that indicates the status of certain settings. For example, like if the Apple Watch is connected to the cellular, if you have a cellular version, or the location is being used by an app, and the features like airplane mode and do not disturb are on, it'll show that, which is cool. Now, like with the iPhone, like with iOS 17 and WatchOS 10, you can set multiple timers on the Apple Watch, which is, I think, awesome. A lot of people, I use the timer all the time on here. App Switcher, didn't have to be able to do that before. I think that's a really cool thing that they've added, where you just double tap the crown and you spin through it, and it'll actually go through the App Switcher just like you do on an iPhone. So they really have got. We're seeing a trend here. They're doing things.
We had that before.
I don't know if we did or not.
It wasn't double tap the crown. I don't think it was double tap the crown to do it, but you could.
Yeah, it might have been a little more difficult, but they made it a little easier. Same thing with the flashlight. I don't remember if you could adjust the brightness of the flashlight with the digital crown. Could you before?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So
again, WatchOS has turned into iOS, where there's so much stuff that even you can forget. Like this list,
Right.
even if none of these things are new to WatchOS 10, there's still going to be something every one of us goes, oh, hey, even if it was already there because we forgot. There's so
what I
much
stumbled
to it.
upon like a few months ago is holding the top of the screen, no matter where you are on the Apple Watch, will bring up Notification Center or Control Center on the bottom.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
great.
learned.
from the bottom, right? You're talking about the swipe.
Yeah. So
from
if
the
you
bottom?
go, let's say you're in like
Someone's
literally any app, just hold your finger at the top of the screen. You can slide down to bring Notification Center.
Oh.
Bottom. Oh wait, bottom doesn't do that anymore because Control Center is not there, but it used to do
Right.
Control Center.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
so
Control Center,
mad.
you have to tap the
They moved
the
everything,
function
and
button.
now when I do the thing on my watch, it doesn't do the thing it did 2 weeks ago, and I still can't figure out which one is which, and it just makes me mad because I use the Control Center all the time, and I don't know which button it is, and it's always the wrong thing, and it just makes me mad now. I yell a lot of profanity at my watch.
Which is why you feel like you need to give it treats all the time.
There you go. I think I'm kind of contrarian to a lot of people with WatchOS 10. I'm kind of nonplussed with this.
Yeah.
I don't like how everything's been shifted around to make the physical buttons more complicated. I
This is
don't
my
like
problem.
the whole thing with switching watch faces is now it requires much more dexterity.
We hates it, Precious.
Yes. I mean, there's several things on the watch where I'm feeling like the people in Apple are designing this for the way they're using it, not for the way we use it. And I mean, it's fine, but I think it's needlessly complicated compared to previous versions of WatchOS. And yeah, I mean, it's fine, but at the same time, if they had skipped this year for WatchOS updates, I don't think I would have felt like I was missing out on anything.
Yeah.
I don't like that you can't do anything about it. Like there's no option for what do I want the digital crown to do if I touch it once or touch it twice? What do I want the button to do if I push the button one time or two times?
Mhm.
Or if I swipe up from the bottom, can I have the control center or can I have something else? It doesn't give me any of those options. There's nowhere to change it. There's nowhere to adjust it. There's nowhere to even see what it is now. It didn't walk me through like the thing that you used to do like this, you do like that. And I never saw a screen like that. And I think that's part of why I'm frustrated is just because I feel like there was no indication and now it's all different and I can't figure out why and I can't figure out what to do about it and I can't figure out and like I have muscle memory from a long time ago and I didn't even have one of those now obsolete Series 0 watches. I had like a Series 4 and or I think I had a 3 and it makes me very grumpy because I can't figure out what to do and there's no option to adjust it so that I could at least go in there and look. Like if you push the button once, if you push the digital crown one time, it does this. Oh, okay. At least I can tell now what it's for. And I just feel like somebody swapped it out for an Android watch or something, because like it kind of looks the same and it goes on my arm, but it's not right. And I can't figure out why. And yeah, it makes me make Roy Kent noises at my watch.
And then lastly on the watch, I mentioned this last week. When WatchOS 10 hit the ability now to be able to find my Apple Watch and be able to ping it is just about time, because we were able to do that pinging to find the Apple Watch from the watch. The iPhone from the Apple Watch, but you couldn't do it reverse. So it's come in handy a few times, because you take it off and it gets buried in your blankets when you or wherever you bury it, so you can't find it anymore. So I think that's another good feature they added on the WatchOS 10.
That is a good feature.
Yeah, now do the Siri remote.
And which is ready to go. They still haven't enabled it yet. I don't know why. So, so let's find out what Holden thinks about his iPhone 15 Pro Max. We had Chuck Joyner on a couple weeks ago, and we all reviewed our thoughts about the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Well, we've had it in our hands for a few weeks, and I'd love to hear what your experience is so far with it, Holden. What did you upgrade from?
So I actually upgraded from a 14 Pro. So talk about that year on year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, I kept it because this year I did the iPhone upgrade program for the first time.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to be on that path now, but I wanted to keep my 14 Pro because it's great for standby, because there's an always on display, and it's a great camera for like this kind of thing. Oh my gosh, I just did that. Like, it's a really great product. Is it going to do it? There we go. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Because you're using the camera.
Because you're using the camera.
So I really don't like that feature, just to be totally clear. It's so distracting.
That only works with iPhones as the camera, right? So when I do this,
it won't happen to me either.
It does.
It does.
No.
I'm using a 10R, so it won't work.
So this is working with Logitech C920.
Oh, really?
Maybe we'll work with the 10R. Try it, Dave. I'm curious.
In wine country.
Oh, I tried it.
Oh, it didn't work.
Froze.
And I did have to update to Wine Country yesterday so that I can be prepared for the user group presentations I'm doing next week, where I talk about macOS Wine Country.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
No, Jeff, give us the heart.
No, it's not working. And
it will when your effect fades. There you go.
There we go.
We're trying that effect, but anyway, what other things have stood out for you on the 15?
The biggest thing by far is the action button, but I'll hold off because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it's just really nice having a lighter phone. I thought the 14 Pro was too heavy, and I wanted to go for the Max this year, and I'm like, I'm not going to go for the Max if it weighs as much as a 14 Pro Max was. It just seems untenable. I don't know if I could do that. But the 15 Pro Max, it is technically heavier than my 14 Pro, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels really great. I got the blue as well, and for all the fingerprint complaints people were making, it is so much better than the stainless steel. No complaints over here. I think this is clearly the best iPhone Apple's ever made. Shocker.
Performance has been great with it too. I mean, the camera. Yeah. I'm sure you've been using the camera.
I don't take a lot of pictures. Actually, so it's kind of funny. I went for the Max. Okay. Like, I'm not going to really use a lot of the features of it, but it is nice to have that though. For when if I would need it, the 5x zoom, and then just having USB-C is great. Every device I have now charges with the same cable. Amazing. That's just amazing.
That's so far my favorite part of having mine is like I just have a C cable for all the things. Well, I did not get a Max. I have the Mere Mortal Pro. So.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, your experience too has been great. Not a Jeff has realized that it does the effects.
Holden, this is all on you.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like you're gaslighting me, Jeff.
Oh no, we can just record. This is recorded. We can just rewind and see the part where you went, oh yeah, you can do this.
I mean, I knew you could do it, but I thought it was just if you're using an iPhone as a camera, but then you brought it up and I thought, well, let's check. And so, yeah, Holden, this is on you.
Yeah.
All
right,
right, let's have
and...
some peace here, okay? Truce. This is one so weird to me because it's like I am not a crook, and then
Right?
it's like confetti.
But it
behind
could
So
it.
be
you got
confetti.
confetti, but I got balloons.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I think the balloons is the wait. No, what's the? I think just one is the balloons.
balloons is one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it only registered one
only
hand the
picked up-
first time.
Yeah. If it only
Yeah.
picks up one hand, then yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
With the 15 Pro, going back into that, like I'm a huge shortcuts person. I am obsessed with shortcuts. I use that app all the time just for fun to see what I can do and play around with it. So when I heard there's a button you can program shortcuts to,
Like,
man, I went
good
wild.
segue because it's pretty amazing. I set up the shortcuts menu, and Federici from Mac Stories, he put a great write up on it. As anybody doesn't know, the action button, we've talked about it. You can go in and actually go into the settings and go into under action button, and configure it on its own. So you can swipe it between what everybody was used to, turning the ringer on and off and all the other settings. But the shortcuts is it's amazing. What did you do to set up? I mean, I just set up here where you can actually go and it brings up the actual menu of items that come up. So it's pretty amazing.
Exactly what I did. So when I
camera there's my menu right there.
So I have that, but then I have oops, I accidentally locked my phone. I have that, but then I also have like a more action. So I have like a different like sub menu of like all the things I want access to.
Yeah.
It's you can do so much with the shortcuts app. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyone who says Android's more customizable has not played with the
anymore.
shortcuts app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
especially
somebody
I'm putting it on a button.
like the
exactly.
Day, the day it came out, like later that day, I think it was Matt Casanelli had put out like we figured out how to give it a shortcut so that you can decide which thing you want the button to do. And I'm like, and I was like, first of all, hi Matt. I knew you were gonna come through for me because I was like, how do I assign it to one thing all the time? That's ludicrous. How am I supposed to make it do only one thing forever? How do I change it when I need it to do different stuff? And then I'm like, they said you could run a shortcut. So I was like, literally, I said, I'm just going to wait for Matt to sort it out. And he did.
Of course he did.
So I'm like, oh, hallelujah. Yes.
Yeah. So
I wish app.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wish that Apple had positioned the shortcut stuff a little bit more consumer friendly, because you don't have to make a shortcut in order to use it for that. Like you can just attach it to a single action from a third-party app. So like I use Things, for example. I love Things. And so you can just attach add task. So you can just hit that button and it just opens up Things and adds a task and just brings you that prompt immediately. Like that is huge. And it requires zero knowledge on how to make a shortcut or how to think through that or learn anything really. It's very, very well implemented. They didn't talk about it as much as I thought they should have.
And it's super approachable because like you have to know to look for it. But when you see it, it's very clear. Like anything that has shortcuts you can use, they're in there and it's very obvious. Like here are shortcuts from the apps that you have installed, from only the apps that you have installed. Here are the options that you have available to you from those apps. Here are the things that each of those apps can do for you in some particular way. And that's like, I really just want them to talk about that for a while one time. Like, because like not even related to the action button, like, a lot of people think shortcuts is really intimidating, and it can be if you are listening to somebody like Matt Casanelli, like the godfather of shortcuts, talking about shortcuts. Like when you listen to him talk about it, there's a lot of potential there, but also like the number one shortcut I use most, and it is not close. I have a large number of Apple devices to which I connect my AirPods, many of them, and I bounce around through them throughout the day. So the shortcut I have installed on all of them, and only one of them responds to my voice, is headphones. So I hit Siri and I say headphones. And then that device says, I am connecting to Kelly's AirPods Pro. And then they're connected. And that's it. And then because I'm me, I added a second step to play sound. So it just goes doodaloo, and so that I know that I hear it in my headphones, so that I know it actually worked and didn't silently fail. And that's literally it. It's 2 steps because I added the second step of play the sound so I can hear it in my headphones and I know it worked.
That's a
That's
brilliant
all.
use of shortcuts.
And
That's
it
a
is
really great
not-
use. Yeah.
It is not close how many times I use that compared to all the others. And like I said, it's only 2 steps because I added play a sound so I know I can hear it in my headphones. That's it. And it's because I sat down and went, I'm going to need this everywhere. Like now that I've, like when I was getting like, work computer set up and trying to put, have headphones connected to everything, and like they're never connected to the thing I want. And, until Apple stops with the headset and just gives us the implant, like it's never going to read my mind and know which thing is the thing I want to have my headphones connected to. So until then, I do it this way, and it's so easy. And it always, and like 90, I would say like 4 nines reliability. It works like almost all the time. And then like it's just done. Like it's the most boring review ever. Like I do this and it's fine and everything works and I can move on. I can make my phone call or listen to my conference call or do whatever webinar thing I'm trying to do easily. It's super fast. It's very easy and it's done. And like
you have that on the action button too.
I do now. Yeah, because I have Mac cover like which thing do you want to do? And that's one of them is headphones. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is good stuff. And the action button is just a fun way of setting things up to make things so much easier. And I know, Jeff, you are not a big fan of this. You, at least that was your first impression of it, right?
No, I really appreciate what Apple's doing with the action button, and what's helped me accept that this is something that I'm just going to have to live with when the iPhone 15 Pro is in stock at my local store and I can get one.
Yep.
Apple has decided that this is the year they're going to just go ahead and let everyone know the iPhone is not a phone anymore. It's a computer that can also do phone calls, which is diametrically opposed to what Apple told us the iPhone was when it was introduced. And so it makes sense that the button that is specifically for a phone is gone. Now, that said, that button specifically for a phone, the toggle switch for mute, is something that I rely on all day, every day. And losing that will be a really big problem for me. So I have to decide when I get my iPhone 15 Pro, is my phone just permanently muted? Or do I not do anything with the action button other than let it be a mute switch?
There's a new shortcut just for iPhone 15 Pros that lets you toggle the silence. So you could like add it to a menu if you wanted to, but you can also
see, that's the problem. Okay, continue. I'm sorry, continue.
You can also just attach it to a focus mode and say, when this focus mode turns on, then I want my phone to be in silent, and kind of attach it to that. I'm not sure how you use focus modes, but I think that could also be useful because you can associate multiple things to a focus mode like that. So if you wanted it to prompt a shortcut or something, you can still do that.
And those are all valid and really good uses for it. For me, oftentimes I just need to double check that the switch is set to mute without having to see anything. So it's a totally tactile thing.
You can still do that, actually. Oh, well, the switch though, right? Because if you want to program anything else, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. You can feel the difference, but I okay, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I need to really think through how I'm going to be using my phone as a communication device going forward, and then decide what's the best way to approach that.
Yeah. To be fair,
focus modes could be part of that. And
I think the action button is super duper awesome, but I'm super mad that I don't have a switch to flip anymore. I'm really not happy about it. It's hard. I don't like it. It's not fair. And I don't spend a bunch of time fiddle farting around with focus modes. Sorry to use the technical term. To make them do the thing so that it's silent in a particular way and whatever. So, I have a couple, and there's, I have like 2 because I set one up for bedtime. Like here's certain stuff that shows up at bedtime. That's basically it. So I'm really not happy that it's not there. And for the same reason, Jeff, as you, I can't look at my phone and instantly know, is it going to make noise while we're recording or not?
Yeah.
Do you, Grant, question, do you, what's the the use cases for toggling it? Is it like when I'm at home, then I want it on, or when I'm not at home, I want it off? Like, what's kind of the use cases?
For me, it's often a situation, not and I'm being intentionally vague because I don't know what it might be. So
Yeah.
not like a bad thing. It's like, oh, I'm in a situation, but like
Yeah.
I'm with a group of people. Normally my ringer would be on. One of them is now on a call where we're all still together. My ringer, if it goes off, will disturb them. Reach in my pocket real fast, flip the switch, or I'm out and about and I'm someplace where I want to make sure I hear the ringer, and I just reach in my pocket and make sure that the ringer's on. Or there's a lot of places where just being able to very quickly hit that toggle in my pocket to know that the ringer's on or off is super handy. Yeah.
What you might be able to do, because John Gruber did something similar to this, but it might not work in this exact context. He has it set up where if you have the phone upside down and then you hit the action button, it does silence in ringer. But when it's not upside down, it can be applied to anything else. And it does that using an app called Actions, which just has like a bunch of like different shortcuts.
yeah.
What you might be able to do too is say, and I don't know, but if my phone is in sleep mode, because then you presumably, if it's in your pocket, it's always in sleep mode.
Right. Yes.
Oh.
So
I didn't know you could trigger a shortcut on that.
so
Okay.
I don't know.
that's a
I'm guessing, but Actions might have
But
something.
you
Let me
know,
check.
a face down iPhone, how much of a difference between face down on a table and in my pocket where the screen is pressed against my leg? How much of a difference would there be between that? See,
I don't
there's
know
a
how it
lot of
works.
stuff I have to explore with this.
Mhm.
Yeah. I look forward to your limited run podcast about this.
Thank you.
Maybe
I'm a
YouTube
little
video.
like contrarian on that, like in kind of on the opposite of that, because I always kept my phone on silent to begin with. I've never liked having my phone ring. So
Yeah, I do too.
My
And
watch
what's
is
always-
always in silent.
Oh, my
and what
phone makes
always
all kinds of noise, but
frustrated
I don't
me-
like it to ring either.
what always frustrated me was when I would put a case on and off, it would toggle the silent switch and I wouldn't know it happened. So all of a sudden my phone's making noises when I don't want it to. And now I don't have to worry about that. So for me, it's like the exact opposite. It's like, oh my God, the button saved my life.
And I
life
can
is forever
absolutely
better.
appreciate the value in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the whole thing is everyone has the different perspective on it. It's kind of the challenge of a device where you have to compromise between a billion people.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So with that was some great discussion. Let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Mastodon at intouchwithios at techhangout.social. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become the patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is usually at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday nights and 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. We had a great showing on the chat. Thanks, Cletus and Webb Bixby, and even Ben made it in this week. Appreciate you being there. And you can watch the past live streams as well as listen to the last past shows. Go to In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show on your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud. And Holden DePardo, thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you're on any social medias, but any way can everybody get a hold of you?
I exist in the real world. My address is, no, I'm totally kidding. I don't have anything. I mean, I have that Twitter account. I just never use it. So,
Okay. Sounds
reach
good.
out if you want to, but if you don't hear back, it's, you've been warned.
Yeah,
You should join us on Mastodon, Holden. It's fun over there.
it is.
It's social media though, and I'm just trying to stay away from it.
Well, it's not Facebook. I mean, it's fun. So,
the noise is a lot lower.
yeah.
That's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
Kelly,
If
come on,
you're
thank
trying to
you,
avoid
you know.
all social media, I'm totally talking over everyone.
You're fine.
And yeah, but
With
Holden,
love, though.
if you're trying to avoid social media, Mastodon is social media.
That's
Well,
true.
But
since you
but it's-
interrupted, Jeff, go ahead and tell everybody where you can find you.
All right, so so you can find Kelly all over the internet. No, wait. Okay, so Jay Gamut on all the social
Most of the things.
medias, most of the things. I am active on Instagram and Mastodon, and then shows most Tuesdays on Chuck Joyner's In Touch with iOS. Nope, that's not his show.
Oh
What
my
is-
god! I feel like I Martelero'd you for a minute there.
You know, I've been having a hard time keeping track of shows. All right.
Oh.
So on Tuesdays, it's Dave Ginsburg's Mac Voices Live. Yes, I did that on purpose. Then here on Thursdays, Dave's In Touch with iOS. And for the British Tech Network, the Big Show on Thursdays, the Mac Show on Fridays. Brian Chaffin and I already recorded this week's
Nice.
Context Machine, and it's live.
Nice.
Oh,
I get around.
Check that show. Last but certainly not least, thank you, Kelly McGamon, for being here. Where can people find you?
You can find me over on Mastodon. I am Verso at mastodon.social. Come over there and enjoy the bot accounts. There are a fair number of bots over there that are just really entertaining. Like they post, there's one hourly otter that just posts a picture of an otter every hour, and it's great. And you know, the one that posts screenshots of Skeletor from the He-Man cartoon with motivational sayings on them, and
I
that
love
one's
that
also
one.
hilarious. Yeah. You could also follow Ice-T SVU, which is Detective Finn, and they've like fed an AI a bunch of different things, you know. So it's always just a screen grab of him, and it's like, you know, the kids are calling it apple jelly, you know, he smoked, you know, like he woke up wearing a bolo tie in front of a Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know, and like just like always weird random.
I didn't
real
realize
things.
that was an AI thing making those up.
I don't think it's AI. I think it's like a randomly generated thing though. That
Okay.
somebody fed a bunch of
But they're
like,
wonderful.
parameters to, and it is the most delightful account for aggressively random entertainment. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that one. And shout out to the guy that takes Garfield cartoons and puts song lyrics in them, because that one also makes me
Oh my
laugh
God,
a
yes.
lot. It's so good. You can find me on I Want My MCU TV over at the Incomparable Network, where we talk about the latest Marvel show that is happening, and it's about to be Loki. So I'm giving you time to emotionally prepare for that. You can also find me occasionally on other shows over at the Incomparable. We just recorded an episode of Low Definition that I think people will probably really like. I hope so. If not, you have been warned. And you can find me sometimes over on because for whatever reason, much like Jeff, I keep getting let into the meeting every Tuesday night over at David Ginsburg's Mac Voices Live. So you can find me there too.
We'll let Chuck know that it's
Yeah.
your show now.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just tell him you
Okay.
guys traded. Like it's just gonna be Freaky Friday, and then like next
Yeah.
week he'll host this, and then it'll all make
Yeah.
sense.
All right, Kelly. Thanks so much for being here, and thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much for having
listening. I appreciate it, and thank you for listening. We really appreciate you listening, and hope you enjoy the show. We enjoy doing it, and we'll talk again soon. Yay! Thank you. We got to
Yeah.
go ahead, Kelly. I saw you had to.
Yes,
you said
I
you
do.
were ready to drop.
I just wanted to give you the cider, because there you go.
Whatever
so-
today.
There's no more Reverend Nat anymore. I'm very sad. So that's the garage door, because Mr. Kelly just came home. So I'm gonna go.
I
I have a quick spoiler for you for this week's Context Machine, if you
Yes.
want it.
Yes.
I was not prepared for Brian to drop nonchalantly, as if it's old news, that he had a stroke. Most people have no idea, but he
I didn't
said,
either.
yeah, this has been a very closely guarded secret for a while.
Okay, I'm gonna
Oh.
have to go hassle him about that. So
Yeah.
thank you for the update.
And yeah, just like in passing, he mentions it, and I had no warning from him that it was going to happen. And
Yeah.
And
Was this recent, or is it like a long time ago and he's been just kind of keeping it to himself?
this was several months ago.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a window where there's a couple episodes of Context Machine where I have guests on, where it's just me and a guest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's because Brian was in the hospital.
Okay.
I was
I
one of
will
the guests.
pester him about that later.
You were.
Awesome.
Oh my
Holden,
gosh.
it was awesome. On my end anyway. I am very sorry. I apologize deeply for all of that just happened.
You're totally fine. It was good meeting you too.
I hope you come back. At
Yeah,
a time-
absolutely.
A time when I am here again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Enjoy
I'm
mowing
very
your
grateful.
lawn. I hope it's
Yes.
a lot of
I
fun.
never do, but I'm always glad to be done. I'm never happy to be doing, but I'm always happy to be
Yes.
done. So yeah.
Enjoy your
Right.
Loki reward after mowing the lawn.
Yes.
That is where it's at. So I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
See you
Have a good
Bye.
one.
And we'll say goodbye to the live stream. Bye, live
Yep,
stream.
by live stream.